The message lit up my screen like a slap. The Whitmore Family Reunion is this Saturday at the Rosebridge Grand. Don't come. We don't celebrate failures. I leaned back in my ergonomic chair, the San Diego skyline gleaming beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows of my corner office on the 39th floor. The Rosebridge Grand wasn't just a luxury landmark. It was mine. 15 years ago, something like that would have shattered me. Today, I just smirked. A second message buzzed through. We have standards to maintain. Don't humiliate us like last time. I glanced up at the photo on my office wall. Me cutting the ribbon beside the city mayor, the day I acquired the Rosebridge Hospitality Group in a $310 million, 0 cents deal. Of course, no one in my family knew that. To them, I was still Lena Whitmore, the 26-year-old who ruined her life by leaving law school to clean rooms at a roadside inn. They never once asked what happened next. They didn't know I worked 12-hour days in housekeeping, learned to fix HVAC systems, took online courses on hotel finance, or that I'd transformed a rundown inn near La Jolla into one of California's most sought-after coastal resorts within 4 years. They definitely didn't know I now oversaw a portfolio of 27 luxury properties across the West Coast. Then came another gem, this time from my cousin Clay. Mom says don't show up in one of your little janitor outfits, it's just sad now. My uniform today? A cream silk blouse, Louboutin heels, and a title that made bankers stand when I entered a room. My assistant Priya buzzed in. Ms. Whitmore, the Q2 profit statement's ready. Also, the Whitmore family just confirmed their reunion reservation. Which space did they take? The Grand Orchid Ballroom. And yes, they selected the diamond tier catering with rooftop fireworks. Should I include a note on the invoice? I smiled. Yes. Just add, with warm regards from the owner. I smiled. Aunt Meredith had been boasting for weeks on Facebook about hosting the Whitmore Family Reunion at San Diego's most exclusive oceanfront hotel. I stood, smoothed the lapels of my ivory blazer, and glanced once more at the lobby security feed on my monitor. Let them take in the marble floors and glass chandeliers. Let them soak in the splendor. The Whitmore name wasn't just printed on the invitation. It was engraved in bronze above the entrance. No, let them think it's on the house, for now, I told Priya through the intercom. I set my phone down and swiveled slowly in my chair, the Pacific sparkling beneath the setting sun outside my office windows. The family group chat was still lighting up, over-enthusiastic RSVPs, wine pairings, jokes about who would give the toast. Now my mother had entered the chat. Please don't take offense, Lena. Your aunt just wants everything to go smoothly. The Rosebridge Grand is very particular, you know. Oh, we had standards, all right. Just not the ones they imagined. I opened my laptop and pulled up the guest intelligence report my staff compiled for every major event. Aunt Meredith had been caught twice trying to use her late husband's old business card at 5-star resorts. Cousin Clay was flagged at a Miami hotel for threatening staff over pillow firmness. And Uncle Byron? Permanently banned from a Napa Valley inn after harassing a sommelier. The only reason they were welcome here was because they didn't know who owned it. Another message popped up, this one from my sister Aria, the only person in the family who knew the truth. You're really going to let them waltz into your hotel like nothing happened? Don't worry, I replied. They'll get their moment. Just not the one they expect. Aria had seen it all. The years I worked overnight shifts, the motel renovations, the cold calls to investors. She was the first to toast me when I signed the deal to buy Rosebridge. Promise me you'll get it on camera. Already done, I wrote. Lobby, ballroom, rooftop, multiple angles. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. Come in, I said. Daniel Cho, my head of security, stepped into the office with a tablet in hand. You try all the foods we can survive. Esperanto, Mayor, I've finalized the surveillance layout for Saturday. Just to confirm, you still want to wait until everyone's inside before you make the reveal? I nodded, slowly. Yes, let them sip the champagne, let them take their selfies, let them believe they finally made it. Daniel gave a half smile. He'd been with me since the La Jolla Inn, back when we were patching drywall ourselves and using refurbished keycard machines. He knew how I moved. Knew I never made a scene until the applause was ready to die down. He knew how many overnights I'd worked with a folding cot hidden behind the laundry chute. How many Christmas shifts I'd picked up while my family toasted success without me. And their room bookings, he asked? I didn't hesitate. Cancel all of them. He arched a brow. Even your mother and father? I took a long breath. The last memory I had of telling my dad I was leaving law school played like an old recording. You're throwing away your future to clean toilets, he spat. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. Yes, I said quietly, especially them. Daniel nodded and made a quick note. And the ballroom? Clear it out, I said, except one round table, one chair, kill the lights, leave just a single spotlight on the chair. He let out a low laugh. Elegant, brutal. I like it. After he left, I walked to the glass wall overlooking the bay. The spire of the Rosebridge Grand glowed against the evening tide. These streets had seen me walk in $9.00 sneakers and polyester uniforms. They'd watched me grind for every cent I put into this empire. My phone buzzed again. My Aunt Meredith. We hired a photographer. Don't do anything to embarrass the family. This hotel has a reputation to maintain. I ran my hand along the nameplate on my desk. Lena Whitmore, founder and CEO, Whitmore Rosebridge Group. Oh, Aunt Meredith, I whispered. You've never even met our standards. The rest of the week was precise. I rehearsed lighting cues, reviewed staff roles, and ran test recordings. My team, many of whom had once been belittled by my relatives, volunteered with enthusiasm. Some even offered to work overtime, unpaid. Friday night, I called Aria. You ready for tomorrow? I asked. Born ready, she laughed. Batteries charged, angles are locked in like I'm shooting a feature film. Then, a brief pause. But Lena, are you absolutely sure about this? I mean, they're still your family. I glanced at the old photo on my bookshelf. Me, at 27, in a faded housekeeping uniform, mop handle in one hand and a stack of folded towels in the other. They stopped being family the day they decided I was an embarrassment, a liability to their image. I turned toward my closet. Tomorrow I wouldn't wear my usual silk blouse or tailored slacks. I would wear that uniform, clean, pressed, proud. The same one I wore when they called me foolish. When they said I had wasted my life. Now, they'd walk beneath my name, etched in bronze above the grand archway they were too self-absorbed to ever look up at. If you've ever been underestimated or told you'd never make it, you won't want to miss what happens when they step into my world. Hit subscribe and stay with me because the moment of truth is just one door away. Sometimes the best revenge needs no explanation. Sometimes it only takes the right outfit and perfect timing. Saturday morning in San Diego arrived crisp, the ocean breeze drifting through the wide balconies of the Rosebridge Grand. Light poured through the lobby's stained glass dome, catching every cut glass vase and polished brass fixture. I stood by my office window on the top floor, dressed in the same housekeeping uniform I hadn't touched in over a decade. It felt oddly grounding, like armor. They've started to arrive, Daniel said through the intercom. Aunt Meredith's already asked for early check-in. And when you told her no, she asked to speak to the owner. And you said that the owner would be making an appearance. On the security feed, Meredith stood stiffly near the coral-tiled fountain, her voice rising. Clay was beside her, furiously typing what I guessed would be a 5-paragraph Yelp tantrum. And there were my parents. My father in a pressed navy suit, lips tight. My mother in rented pearls, clutching a designer bag she'd likely return by Monday. There must be some mistake, my mother's voice rang out, tight and clipped with embarrassment. No mistake, Mrs. Whitmore, Daniel replied smoothly. The owner has asked that each of you step forward, one at a time, into the light. This is absurd, Aunt Meredith snapped. Do you even know who we are? I demand to speak to the owner. I stepped through the ballroom doors without hesitation. The request granted. Silence fell like a velvet curtain. Every head turned. 40 pairs of eyes froze on me. I stood under the massive archway in my pressed housekeeping uniform, binder in hand, shoulders squared. Shock rippled through the room like static. "Lena," my father said, his voice cracking. What are you doing here? Why are you dressed like what?" I walked into the spotlight with slow, deliberate steps. "Like a maid? Like someone beneath you? Like the daughter you cut off because she didn't want your life?" "If this is some kind of joke," Meredith began, but I held up a hand. "Oh, it's real. Though watching you spiral over your canceled suite was entertaining." I reached the single table, placed the binder on top, and turned to face them. "The Rosebridge Grand does have standards," I said. "We don't host guests who berate service workers. We don't accept fraudulent cards, and we don't tolerate entitlement dressed as legacy." Victoria gasped from the back. You're just a maid." I smiled, calm, steady. "No, I'm the owner of this hotel and of the Whitmore Rosebridge Group, 27 luxury properties across 3 countries." I let the binder fall open with a sharp, satisfying thud. "Shall we take a little tour of the past?" And then I began to read. Their texts, their email, their public posts, the insults, the mockery, the erasure. Every time they wrote me off, every time they told me I'd never amount to anything. Now they sat in silence, under my roof, staring into my spotlight, unable to rewrite what I had lived. My mother's voice trembled. That's impossible." "What is, Mom?" I asked, my tone calm. "That your so-called failure of a daughter now owns the ballroom you're standing in? The most exclusive hotel in San Diego?" I added, stepping further into the spotlight. "The same daughter you wouldn't invite to Thanksgiving now holds the master key. I could buy and sell this family 100 times and still come out bored. But, the rooms," Aunt Meredith stammered. "Canceled," I said smoothly, "by my directive, just like your little reunion." Silence, dense and immovable. "The Rosebridge Grand has exceptionally high standards," I continued, "and we do not accommodate guests who belittle service workers, abuse staff, or parade entitlement like it's a virtue." "You can't do this," Clay burst out. "All my friends are on their way. This is humiliating." I stepped closer, eyes locked on his. "Humiliating?" I repeated, like the years I was told I didn't belong. Like being erased from birthdays, weddings, and family photos because I didn't wear a stethoscope or marry someone from your country club. I turned toward the back of the room. Security. Daniel appeared with his team, quiet, poised, immovable. "Kindly escort everyone out," I said. "If they argue, remind them we have recorded footage. If they threaten, remind them we have documented behavior from multiple hotel chains, and if necessary, well, the San Diego press loves a scandal with brunch." "Lena, wait!" My father stepped forward, eyes wide. "No," I said, voice firm. "Where was this concern when I was living off ramen and sleeping 3 hours a night? When you called me a disgrace to the family name?" The security team moved in, ushering them out one by one. Their designer shoes echoed against the marble as sobs, gasps, and muted curses faded down the hallway. "Oh, and before you go," I called after them, "the champagne you insisted on? It wasn't complimentary. Expect a personal invoice, with a service charge." As the ballroom emptied, Aria emerged from her hidden camera setup. "That was brutal, legendary, but seriously, are you okay?" I looked around the vast, quiet ballroom. Once, I wasn't allowed a seat at this table. Now, I owned the table, the room, the story. "I'm perfect," I whispered. That evening, I changed back into my usual outfit, cream blouse, blazer, heels polished to a mirror shine, and watched the San Diego skyline blaze in gold from the rooftop lounge of the Rosebridge Grand. My phone buzzed without pause. Calls, messages, voicemails. Some were apologetic, others venomous. All of them deleted. By morning, headlines filled every major business column and society site. Hotel powerhouse Lena Whitmore shuts down family reunion over class prejudice. Some called it ruthless, Most called it iconic. All agreed on one thing. My rise from hotel housekeeper to West Coast magnate was undeniable. A week later, a plain envelope appeared in my executive mail tray. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar. Inside, letterhead from Whitmore, Carr and Doyle, my family's legacy law firm. An offer. They wanted me to return, not just return, but to become a named partner. No apology, no reflection, just a seat at their table. I sealed my reply with a wax stamp and mailed it the next morning. Inside, one pressed housekeeping uniform and a handwritten note that read, "No thank you, I prefer owning buildings, the renting desks in them." The Rosebridge Grand only grew in stature. Our reputation, luxury without arrogance, service without servitude, became a beacon in the hospitality world. I made it a foundational policy to hire people who, like me, started at the bottom. Former dishwashers, receptionists, janitors, people with fire in their eyes and no safety net to catch them. Every new employee heard my story, not as revenge, but as a reminder. Success isn't handed down. It's built one scrubbed floor, one overlooked shift, one daring decision at a time. Late one night, after finishing rounds with the night staff, I slipped on that same uniform again. Not out of nostalgia, out of reverence. For the woman I used to be. The one who vacuumed conference rooms while her family pretended she didn't exist. She wasn't weak. She was becoming. And now? Everyone knew it. The Whitmore family never hosted another reunion at a luxury venue again. They couldn't. Word traveled fast through elite hotel circles, and my story traveled with it. Some managers even framed it in their staff rooms. A quiet warning, a proud reminder that greatness doesn't always wear a tailored suit. Sometimes it wears a name tag and carries keys. I kept that ballroom spotlight. During every staff orientation, I paused beside it, and I tell them the truth about the day I stood under that light, wearing my past like armor, and taught an entire family what worth really looks like. It wasn't about revenge. It was about value, about claiming space I was once denied, about proving that I became someone no one believed I could be. Lena Whitmore, founder, CEO, hotel magnate. Not bad for someone they called a failure. If you felt seen in my story, if you've ever been told you don't belong or watched people you love turn their backs the moment you took a different path, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what part hit you hardest. Tell me about the moment you chose yourself over approval. Your voice matters here, not just for me, but for every single person who's still working late shifts, still being overlooked, still building something no one else understands. This isn't just a channel, it's a community for quiet power, earned success, and dignity that doesn't need to shout. Tap that subscribe button if you believe in growth, in grit, and in becoming more than what others ever imagined for you. And if you're still in your uniform, whatever that looks like, keep going. Keep showing up. Your work, your vision, your story matters. I'm living proof that you don't need applause to rise. You just need belief in yourself, in the work, and in the future you're building. They might not see your worth yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't shining. Let's stand together and build something they can never take away.